What's up, Wise Flyers? David here. Today we're talking about the 5 best Chase transfer partners. So if you've got some Chase Ultimate Reward points, not really sure the best ways to get the most value out of them, I'll tell you exactly how. You worked really hard for these points. Do not just cash them out for cash back. Chase Ultimate Reward points are really valuable nowadays, especially because of the 524 rule restricting you from getting certain Chase Ultimate Reward earning cards. So if you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Sapphire Reserve, and Chase Ink Preferred, you're allowed to transfer those points over to transfer partners at a 1-to-1 ratio, and it's completely free. So you can take your Chase points and get a 1 cent per point valuation. So 50,000 Chase points could give you $500 cash back, but I don't recommend that because you could get a lot more value from those points. So rather than just a 1 cent per point, you could get 2, 3, 4, even 5 cents per point with some of the examples I'm going to give you in this video. You could also use your points through the Chase Travel Portal. So if you have the cards that I mentioned before, you could get more than 1 cent per point, but very rarely does a travel portal give you good deals. You've worked really hard for your Chase points, so it's better if you get the most value out of those points and just squeeze all the juice out of it you can. So let's get started with this list, and I'll tell you the 5 best transfer partners. First one is Singapore Airline KrisFlyer Miles. So with the KrisFlyer Miles, you can go to Hawaii from the continental US, and it'll be 17,500 miles in economy, 34,500 miles in business class, and 46,000 miles in first class. So just to compare with United Airline miles, it would be 22,500 for economy and then 40,000 for business. So you're getting more value by transferring over to Singapore Airlines at a 1-to-1 ratio to get the 17,500 economy flight. In addition to getting good value points prices to Hawaii, you could also go to Europe. So to go to Europe in economy with Singapore Airline KrisFlyer miles is 27,500 miles each direction, compared to United, American, Delta, which are around 30,000 miles per way. So if you really want to get fancy schmancy with your Singapore KrisFlyer miles, you could use it to get the Singapore Suites, which are pretty much a first class double bed in the sky. It's one of a kind. The least expensive way to experience the Singapore Suites would be from New York to Frankfurt, Germany, and that would be 86,000 points one way. And just a note, the Singapore Suite class is only available on the A380 aircraft, so you gotta be careful when you're booking the flights that it's only on that aircraft. And if you want to take the flight all the way to Singapore from New York City, then it would be 132,000 miles, KrisFlyer miles, per way. So this option may not be for everybody, but if you were going to experience these seats, it could be $10,000 plus just for these seats. So you're getting a really good value by using these points, but 132,000 Chase points one way, that could be several trips to many places in the world, so it all depends on a person's preferences. One really important fact to point out with Chase transfer partners is that once you transfer those points over to the transfer partners, there's no way to bring them back. So the strategy here is to make sure that there's availability first on the airline that you want to use, and that there's points price. And some of these airlines you're allowed to put the reservation on hold, so that would be a great opportunity to put the reservation on hold, then transfer the points over, then book the flight as soon as possible. Just because there's a good deal that I mentioned in this video, you don't want to just transfer your points over there without any plans. The next transfer partner is Air France. So Air France has some pretty good sweet spots. One option here would be 30,000 Flying Blue miles one way from the continental US over to Tahiti. So that's a pretty good deal. It's a lot cheaper than most options. And if you were to fly from the West Coast, like from Los Angeles to Tahiti, it would be 25,500 miles per way there. And to get to Europe, you could get it as low as 45,000 miles round trip. Usually it's around 50,000 though. But the benefit to using Air France to get to Europe, or close to Europe, is that there are certain countries that are part of Europe. I think going to Israel with Air France is probably one of the best options because Israel is considered part of Europe, so you could get it for that points price that is considered Europe. Some other countries that you could go to as well that would be considered as Europe, even though it's not, would be Algeria, Libya, Morocco, and the Canary Islands. The next partner is United Airlines. So since we're on the topic of Europe, getting to Europe with United Airlines is pretty much a standard 60,000 miles round trip. But the benefit with using United Airlines is that it has a lower taxes and fuel surcharge cost. Also, if you're new to this and you're not really sure how to use the transfer partners, United Airlines search options are pretty easy and straightforward. So if you go to the United site, united.com, you could do the searches really easy, just say where you want to go, and it just lays out the points price. There's no calling, there's no trying to figure out availability in other sites. It's just pretty straightforward with United. But the real benefit with using United Airline miles would be to go to South America. So United split South America into two different regions in their reward chart: Northern South America and Southern South America. So Northern South America consists of Colombia, Ecuador, French Guiana, Peru, and I think that is where the most valuable flights will be. We'll be going to Peru, since that is the farthest of the Southern America region. So to get to Peru, it is 40,000 miles from the US, and it's usually on its own metal, so United Airlines planes, and also Star Alliance partners. Next partner is British Airways. So British Airways is best used for short haul flights. So that could be within the US, you could use short haul flights, and even though it's you're using British Airways Avios points, you're going to be flying on American Airlines since they're partners. So if your flight is in North America, you'll only pay 7,500 Avios points if the miles between the destinations, between each airport, is 1,151 miles. So that could be a great way to take advantage of short flights between different airports, as long as it's under that mile range. So because Avios points are distance based, that's how you get the most value out of it. So for example, if you wanted to go to Hawaii from some West Coast cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, San Diego, it'll only be 12,500 Avios points one way to get to Hawaii from those West Coast cities. And the Avios points for short haul flights in other countries are even cheaper. So for example, if you go to Japan, Australia, United Kingdom, you could still get really good deals for short haul one-way flights within those countries. So if you go to any of those countries and you want to travel around, consider using British Airways Avios points to get to those smaller destinations if you want to use points. And consistently, to get the most value out of Chase points, it isn't flights, but it is Hyatt. Last but not least, Hyatt is the best way to consistently get the most value out of your Chase points. Personally, I've used Hyatt multiple times around the world. So I stayed at the Grand Hyatt in Bali, at the Hyatt Zalera in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and my most recent Hyatt stay was in Orlando, Florida by Disney World, which is only 8,000 Hyatt points per night to stay at a place right near Disney. So I think that's a really good Disney hotel option. And the Hyatt all-inclusive resort locations could be found in Mexico, so in Puerto Vallarta and Cancun, then in Jamaica, which is where I stayed, and then in the Dominican Republic. So in the Dominican and Jamaica, it's 25,000 Hyatt points per night, but in Mexico, it's only 20,000 points per night for two people, all inclusive, drinks included, foods included. Everything is included. Depending on which resort you go to and what time of the year, it could be anywhere from $400 to $800 per night. So by getting the 20,000 to 25,000 per night with Hyatt points, you're getting a ton of value. So my plan with my Hyatt points, as well as some transfer Chase points, is to go to the Puerto Vallarta Hyatt resort there to do the all-inclusive. So since I spoke about the best transfer partners, let me tell you the worst transfer partner with Chase. That would be IHG. IHG points are hard to find good value in general, so I don't recommend transferring your Chase points over to IHG for IHG stays. If you're not sure what is the best way to search for award availability for Chase's transfer partners, as I mentioned in this video, you could check out Juicy Miles. So Juicy Miles is a service where you could check the award availability for multiple airlines, and you could just search for Chase transfer partners and see which options there are and the availability, if there's any seats left. If you want to do economy or business class, you can click the link down in the description below to learn more about it in the video, or just go right to Juicy Miles and try out the service. If you want to learn more about Chase points and credit cards and the best strategies, you could click this playlist right over here. And if you want to learn more about American Express transfer partners, the best ones, you could click this video down here. So click either one of those links and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay. Bella, try to do it.